Have you ever felt adrift in a sea of endless notifications, fleeting trends, and constant external pressures, searching for a stable anchor in the storm of modern life? It is a common feeling in our world, a sense of being pulled in 1,000 different directions, without a compass to guide you toward a meaningful and tranquil existence. We are taught how to build a career, how to manage our finances, but rarely are we taught how to build a resilient and peaceful mind. This is the silent struggle many of us face every day. This internal conflict manifests as a persistent, low-level anxiety, a frustration with things beyond our control, and a deep-seated desire for clarity. We find ourselves reacting emotionally to trivial matters, losing our peace over a thoughtless comment, a traffic jam, or a negative news headline. We chase fleeting pleasures hoping they will bring lasting happiness, only to find ourselves empty and wanting more. This is the modern problem, an external world that is louder and more demanding than ever, and an internal world left untrained and unprepared to navigate it with grace and stability. Yet the solution to this modern predicament is not found in a new app or a productivity hack, but in a timeless philosophy forged over 2,000 years ago. Stoicism is not an academic exercise. It is a practical operating system for the human mind. And the architects of this system, the men who stress-tested its principles in the laboratories of their own extraordinary lives, offer us a roadmap. Today, we journey back in time to meet the 3 most important Stoic philosophers you need to know, not as historical artifacts, but as living guides for our time. Welcome to Stoic Understanding. Our purpose here is to explore this profound wisdom and translate it into actionable strategies for your life. In this exploration, we will introduce you to a wealthy political advisor who navigated the treacherous courts of a tyrannical emperor, a former slave who became one of antiquity's most revered teachers of freedom, and a Roman emperor who ruled the most powerful empire on earth from the muddy front lines of a brutal war. Their stations in life were vastly different, yet their message was universally the same. These 3 figures, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, form the bedrock of late Stoicism, the period from which most of our practical Stoic writings survive. Each man offers a unique lens through which to view this philosophy, their lives and their words complementing one another to create a complete toolkit for living a virtuous, resilient, and fulfilling life. Let us begin our journey with the first of these great minds, a man of immense complexity and profound insight, Lucius Annius Seneca. Seneca the Younger, born in Corduba, Hispania, around 4 BC, was a man of staggering contradictions. He was one of the wealthiest men in the Roman Empire, a celebrated playwright, a powerful political advisor to the infamous Emperor Nero, and yet, he was also the author of some of the most profound essays ever written on tranquility, simplicity, and the art of overcoming adversity. His life was a constant dance between immense power and precarious danger, providing him with a unique vantage point from which to observe human nature and the volatility of fortune. The modern struggle Seneca addresses most directly is our relationship with time. Do you ever reach the end of a day, a week, or even a year and wonder where all the time went? We feel perpetually busy, rushing from one task to the next, yet we often lack a sense of true accomplishment or fulfillment. We postpone our happiness, telling ourselves we will finally live when we retire, when we get the promotion, or when the kids are grown. We act as if we have an infinite supply of our most precious, non-renewable resource. Seneca's guiding principle, his heroic solution to this problem, is powerfully articulated in his essay on the shortness of life. He declares that our lives are not inherently short, but that we make them so. We waste vast amounts of our time on trivialities, on anxieties about the future, on pointless distractions, and on living according to the expectations of others rather than our own values. He argues that we are frugal with our money and property, yet lavishly wasteful with the one thing we can never get back, our time. The practical application of Seneca's wisdom begins with a radical act, a time audit. For 1 week, consciously observe and note where your minutes and hours are truly going. How much time is spent on mindless scrolling, on worrying about things you cannot control, or engaging in obligations that bring no value or meaning to your life? This is not about becoming a productivity machine, but about becoming an intentional owner of your life. It is about consciously deciding what is truly important and dedicating your time to those pursuits, whether it is learning, spending time with loved ones, or quiet contemplation. The transformation that occurs from this practice is profound. You shift from being a passive victim of your schedule to an active architect of your days. By eliminating the non-essential, you create space for what truly matters. The feeling of being rushed and overwhelmed begins to recede, replaced by a sense of purpose and calm control. You start living in the present moment, appreciating the richness of now, rather than constantly deferring your life to an uncertain future. You learn to treat each day as a complete life in itself, a miniature eternity to be lived with virtue and intention. Let Seneca's wisdom be your reminder. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it. Your life is happening right now. Guard your time with the ferocity you would guard your most prized possession, for it is the very stuff your life is made of. Live deliberately, focus on the present, and you will find that you have more than enough time to live a full and meaningful life. This is the first cornerstone of a Stoic practice. Another universal modern problem that Seneca confronts head-on is our struggle with anger. We experience it in traffic, in frustrating meetings at work, and especially in the polarized world of online discourse. Anger can feel powerful in the moment, a surge of energy that seems justified. But in reality, it is a corrosive force. It clouds our judgment, damages our relationships, and ultimately, it harms us far more than the person or event that triggered it. We become puppets to our own rage, reacting impulsively and often with deep regret later on. Seneca's principle for taming this beast is laid out in his essay on anger. He famously calls anger a temporary madness. He argues that it is never a useful or necessary emotion. It is not a source of courage, but a sign of weakness, a loss of self-control. The Stoic hero in this story is not the person who represses anger, but the person who, through reason and practice, dissolves it before it can take root. The goal is to see the initial spark of anger for what it is, an irrational judgment, and to choose a wiser response. The practical application of this principle is a process of pause and examination. When you feel the heat of anger rising, Seneca advises you to first delay your reaction. Do not speak. Do not type. Create a space between the trigger and your response. In that space, question the initial impression. Ask yourself, is this truly a personal attack, or am I misinterpreting the situation? Is this event truly worth sacrificing my inner peace for? Deliberately relax your facial muscles, lower the tone of your voice, and slow your pace of walking. These physical changes can help calm the physiological response of anger. By consistently practicing this, The transformation is one of profound self-mastery. You sever the puppet strings that once allowed external events to dictate your emotional state. Instead of being a slave to your temper, you become a calm and rational observer. This does not make you passive, it makes you effective. You are able to handle difficult situations and challenging people with clarity and grace, finding solutions where anger would only have created more conflict. Your relationships improve, and your inner world becomes a place of stable tranquility rather than a volatile battleground. Remember Seneca's powerful insight on this matter. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. By giving yourself the gift of a pause, you give your rational mind a chance to intervene. You reclaim your power from the primitive, reactive parts of your brain and place it back where it belongs, in the seat of your conscious, reasoned choice. This is the path to unshakable calm, a core promise of the Stoic way of life, and a testament to the practical genius of Seneca. Now we turn from the corridors of power to a humble lecture hall in Greece to meet our second guide. This is a man whose life could not have been more different from Seneca's, and yet his teachings on freedom are perhaps the most powerful in all of Western philosophy. His name is Epictetus. Born a slave in Hierapolis, Phrygia, around 50 AD, he endured a life of hardship, including a permanently lamed leg, which was said to have been deliberately broken by his master. After gaining his freedom, Epictetus became a renowned teacher of Stoic philosophy, first in Rome and then in Nicopolis in Greece. He owned almost nothing and lived a life of extreme simplicity, yet kings and administrators sought his counsel. He wrote nothing himself. His teachings were transcribed by his devoted student, Aurelius, in works known as the Discourses and the Enchiridion, or Handbook. His life story is the ultimate testament to his core philosophical message, that true freedom is not a matter of external circumstance, but an internal achievement. The modern problem Epictetus addresses is perhaps the most pervasive of all: our constant anxiety and distress over things we cannot control. We worry about the economy, about what other people think of us, about our health in the future, about political events, and 1,000 other uncertainties. This persistent worrying drains our energy, robs us of our present moment happiness, and leaves us feeling helpless and small in the face of a large, unpredictable world. We are slaves not to a master, but to our own anxieties. Epictetus's heroic principle, the very heart of his philosophy and arguably of all Stoicism, is the dichotomy of control, sometimes called the promise of Epictetus. He states it with absolute clarity. Some things are up to us and some things are not up to us. What is up to us are our own thoughts, our judgments, our choices, our actions, our inner world. What is not up to us is everything else: our bodies, our reputations, our property, the actions of others, and the outcomes of events. True freedom and happiness, he taught, come only from focusing all our energy on what is up to us and accepting the rest with equanimity. The practical application of this powerful idea is a mental exercise you can perform at any moment of distress. When you feel anxiety, fear, or frustration, stop and ask yourself this simple question: is this thing that is upsetting me something that is within my complete control or not? If it is not within your control, like the traffic, the weather, or another person's opinion, then recognize that getting upset about it is not only useless, it is irrational. Your task is not to change the external, but to manage your internal response to it with virtue and calm. The transformation that this single mental habit can bring about is life-altering. It is the key that unlocks the prison of anxiety. By consistently applying the dichotomy of control, you stop wasting your precious mental and emotional energy on the uncontrollable. This frees up an enormous amount of energy to focus on what you can change: your character, your actions, your responses. You develop a profound sense of inner peace, knowing that while you cannot control the world, you can always control your mind. You become an island of calm in a chaotic sea. Let this be the Stoic reminder from Epictetus that you carry with you. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. This is not a philosophy of passivity. It is the ultimate philosophy of focused, effective action. It is the secret to true and lasting freedom, gifted to us by a man who was once in chains. Building upon this foundation, Epictetus also provides a powerful tool for dealing with emotional disturbances. The modern problem is that we often believe our feelings are directly caused by external events. A critical email from our boss makes us feel incompetent. A canceled plan makes us feel disappointed. We see a direct, unbreakable link between the event and the emotion, which leaves us feeling like victims of our circumstances, tossed about by the winds of daily life without any say in the matter. The Stoic principle Epictetus offers is a crucial distinction. It is not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. The event itself is neutral. It is simply data. It is the story we tell ourselves about the event, the meaning we assign to it, that creates the emotional response. The critical email is not inherently bad. It is our judgment. This email means I am a failure, that causes the pain. This insight places the power squarely back in our hands. We cannot control the event, but we can always control our judgment of it. The practical application here is a technique of cognitive reframing. When a negative emotion arises, see it as a red flag. Stop and dissect the thought process. First, state the objective fact, separate from any interpretation. For example, my boss sent an email with feedback on 3 points in my report. That is the neutral event. Then identify the judgment you have attached to it. This means I am bad at my job and my career is in jeopardy. Now, challenge that judgment. Is it the only possible interpretation? Could it instead mean, my boss is invested in my development and is giving me specific points to improve? The transformation is a shift from emotional reactivity to thoughtful responsiveness. You become a skilled interpreter of your own mind. You learn to see the space between an event and your interpretation of it. And in that space lies your freedom to choose a more rational and constructive judgment. This practice diminishes the power of external events to cause you distress. You develop a more resilient and objective mind, capable of navigating life's challenges without being thrown into emotional turmoil by every setback or criticism. It is a fundamental skill for mental clarity. Epictetus's wisdom reminds us of this crucial truth. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This simple sentence is one of the most powerful psychological insights ever conceived. By mastering your judgments, you master your emotional world. You realize that your inner tranquility is not something that can be given or taken away by others. It is something you alone create and protect. This is the profound responsibility and the ultimate freedom that Epictetus taught. Our third and final guide is perhaps the most remarkable of all. He was a man who held the most powerful position in the known world, who possessed absolute authority over millions, and who could have indulged in any luxury or pleasure imaginable. Yet he chose to live a life of discipline, reflection, and service. He is the Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king. Born in 121 AD, he ruled as emperor for nearly 2 decades, a reign marked by constant warfare, political turmoil, and a devastating plague. In the midst of these immense pressures, Marcus kept a private journal, a series of personal notes and reflections on how to apply Stoic philosophy to the challenges he faced each day. This journal was never meant for publication. It is a raw, honest, and powerful account of a leader struggling to be a good man in a difficult world. This collection of writings has come down to us as the Meditations, and it is one of the greatest treasures of philosophical literature, a practical guide to finding strength and meaning under pressure. The modern problem Marcus Aurelius helps us confront is our deep-seated fear of mortality and our tendency to live as if we will live forever. We avoid thinking about death, and in doing so, we often fail to live with a sense of urgency and appreciation. We take our days for granted, get bogged down in trivial disputes, and prioritize meaningless goals over virtuous action and meaningful connection. We live in a state of distraction, forgetting the finite and precious nature of our existence, which leads to a life of mediocrity and regret. The Stoic principle Marcus Aurelius championed is memento mori, which translates to remember that you will die. This is not a morbid or pessimistic practice. On the contrary, it is a tool for radical appreciation and prioritization. By keeping the reality of our mortality in mind, we are inspired to live each day to the fullest, to not waste a moment on anger, fear, or triviality. The thought of death clarifies what is truly important: our character, our relationships, and how we treat others. It is the ultimate motivator for living a life of virtue. To apply this principle, Marcus would begin his day by reflecting on the fact that he might not see its end. A modern practical application is to take a few moments each morning for a brief memento mori meditation. Contemplate the simple fact that your time is limited. This is not to create anxiety, but to create focus. Ask yourself, if this were my last day on earth, would I be content with my plans? Would I be proud of how I intend to treat others? Am I focusing on what truly matters? This daily practice acts as a filter, helping you to strip away the non-essential. The transformation that comes from embracing memento mori is a profound shift in perspective. You begin to experience a heightened sense of gratitude for the simple fact of being alive. Petty annoyances and minor setbacks lose their power over you when viewed against the backdrop of your mortality. You become bolder in pursuing what is meaningful, less fearful of judgment, and more compassionate towards others, recognizing that they too are facing the same finite existence. You stop procrastinating on being the person you want to be and start living with intention, purpose, and a deep appreciation for the present moment. Let the words of the Emperor guide you with this reminder: you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This is not a threat, but an invitation to live with integrity, with courage, and with a sense of profound purpose. It is the key to unlocking a life free from the trivial, a life lived in alignment with your highest values, a life worthy of a rational and social being. This is the wisdom of the philosopher king. Another challenge of modern life is our tendency to view obstacles as purely negative events. When we face a setback, a failed project, a difficult diagnosis, a relationship ending, Our immediate reaction is often one of frustration, despair, or a sense of victimhood. We see the obstacle as the end of the road, something that blocks our path to happiness. This mindset makes us brittle and fragile, easily broken by the inevitable challenges and hardships that life presents to all of us. Marcus Aurelius offers a transformative Stoic principle to counter this. He articulated a concept that has become central to modern Stoicism. The obstacle is the way. He taught that any obstacle we face can be seen as an opportunity for growth, a chance to practice a specific virtue. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. A difficult person is not just an annoyance. They are an opportunity to practice patience and understanding. A professional failure is not just a loss. It is an opportunity to practice resilience and humility. The practical application of this principle is a mental reframing exercise. When you encounter an obstacle, instead of first thinking, "This is terrible," train yourself to ask, "What virtue can I practice in this situation? Is it courage? Is it patience? Is it creativity? Is it forgiveness?" See the obstacle not as a roadblock, but as a sparring partner in the gymnasium of life, designed to make you stronger. This reframe shifts you from a passive victim to an active participant, using the very things meant to stop you as fuel for your own character development. The transformation here is the development of what we now call antifragility. You become stronger because of life's challenges, not just in spite of them. You learn to welcome obstacles as tests of your character, opportunities to forge a more resilient and virtuous self. This mindset cultivates an inner strength that is not dependent on external conditions being perfect. You find that you can thrive in any circumstance because you have learned to use all circumstances, good and bad, as raw material for your own growth and flourishing. Carry with you this powerful reminder from the meditations of Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is the alchemy of the Stoic mind, the ability to transmute adversity into advantage, setbacks into strength, and hardship into virtue. It is the ultimate formula for resilience, a principle that allows you to face anything life throws at you not with fear, but with a calm and courageous spirit, ready to find the opportunity within the obstacle. Finally, let us synthesize the wisdom of these three great minds. We have met Seneca, the pragmatic advisor, who teaches us to master our time and our emotions amidst the chaos of a busy world. We have learned from Epictetus, the liberated teacher, who gives us the key to inner freedom through the dichotomy of control and the mastery of our judgments. And we have been guided by Marcus Aurelius, the dutiful emperor, who shows us how to practice these principles under the greatest of pressures, using every obstacle as an opportunity and every day as a gift. Together, their lives and teachings provide a complete framework for navigating the human experience. They represent the three archetypes we can all learn from: the worldly professional navigating success and failure, the disciplined student mastering their inner world, and the responsible leader serving the greater good. Their wisdom is not a collection of abstract theories, but a unified, practical guide to living a life of purpose, resilience, and tranquility, regardless of our station in life, our wealth, or the challenges we face. The journey of understanding Stoicism is not a passive one of simply listening or reading. It is a path of active practice. The teachings of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius are not museum pieces to be admired. They are tools to be used, principles to be lived, every single day. The goal is not perfection, but progress. It is about waking up each morning and aspiring to be a little calmer, a little wiser, and a little more virtuous than the day before. If you are ready to walk this path, to build your own inner citadel of peace and resilience, then we invite you to continue this journey with us. This is what we explore here at Stoic Understanding, timeless wisdom for modern minds. Subscribe to our channel and join a community of fellow travelers who are committed to the art of living, to the practice of virtue, and to the pursuit of a tranquil and meaningful life. The path is challenging, but the destination, a life of flourishing, is worth every step. As we conclude our exploration today, let this final Stoic reminder resonate within you. The wisdom of the ages is not lost to the past. It lives on in the words of these great philosophers, waiting to be rediscovered by you. The power to transform your mind, to find peace in chaos, and to live a life of profound meaning does not lie in changing the world around you, but in mastering the world within you. This is the enduring promise of Stoicism, and it is a promise you have the power to fulfill.